Hello, everybody! Welcome to the fourth episode of the Alternate Reality Detectives podcast, where a video game cabinet takes a young man through the adventure of a lifetime. The sun mysteriously disappears, or you could call it vanishes. The creator of that joins us, and where I am one of your hosts, Hans Anonymous, also known as Hans, and with me are the two other hosts, Brady.
Hello.
And Riley.
Hi.
And to jump right into this episode, we are honored to be joined by Aidan Elliott, the creator of many interesting web series, most notably TheSunVanished.
That was a great intro. I appreciated that.
Thanks. So, before we get right into this episode, we're going to thank our patrons from Patreon. So our very first patron was Pizza Shrapnel, so thank you very much for that. And then Cremini and an IKEA lamp. Thank you very much for your support, and honestly now we could actually upload all of our episodes for this month when they come, because we almost ran out of minutes. Anyway, so as said, we have Aidan Elliott as a guest. Would you like to say anything as of now, Aidan?
I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited. This has been fun so far.
We're glad to have you on. Oh yeah. So we've been talking already, live streaming on Twitch, just talking about some things before this actual recording. So if you guys want to listen to that, I'll have it as a sub episode if you want, to wherever you can find us. Speaking of wherever you can find us, we are on not SoundCloud anymore, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Twitch, and Podbean, or anywhere else you can add in the RSS feed. Also, if you would like to talk to us or just hang out with us, we are on Discord, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and if you really like us, please be sure to support us on Patreon. So, last week I gave you guys a pretty tough puzzle at the end of the episode, and I'd never answered it because it was for you guys to figure it out throughout this past week. So that problem was, I have hired you to test a protective case for my Nintendo Switch. You are the very best of the best, and I already know that the case can survive great heights. I have given you two of the cases, a modeled Nintendo Switch, and access to a 100-story tower where you can drop either case from any of the stories. If it doesn't break when you drop it, you can retrieve it and use it again for future drops. But if it does break, you don't get a replacement. Using the two cases, what is the minimum number of drops you need to ensure that you can determine exactly the highest story from which the case does not break? You can assume that it breaks when dropped from the very top, also known as the 100th floor. And to add on to that, what if it was dropped from a 1,000-story building? And I hope this past week was enough time for you guys to figure out. We had, I believe, 2 people who actually talked to me be able to solve it, and the answer for the 100-story building is 14 drops. So if you're watching on live stream or on YouTube, you guys will be able to see. I have the answer pulled up right here. For 100 stories, you will be able to determine the smallest number of drops is 14, and there's a whole math that goes with it, so be sure to check it out on the website, or if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, it's theardetectives.rf.gd/puzzles. So there's that. It was really fun to do, or to create, or to base it off of another puzzle from online. This puzzle was actually a puzzle that a lot of companies will ask possible future employees, and as a technical question, they would ask some form of this question to see if to to see if they can solve it. And so
that's fascinating.
Applicant, that's the word. Yeah. So a fun one. And now we have a new easy puzzle for this very first to start off this episode. And Riley came up with what? What?
I said I'm annoying and made this puzzle.
Yeah, Riley made this puzzle, and I'll just say it right now. It'll be on the website as well. So the puzzle is 011 01 000 0111
Wow. Okay.
0100 0111.
000.
Okay. You know what? It'll be on the website. You guys can... Okay,
It
you know
went
what?
from like incredibly complicated over my head kind of math to like
that was
binary.
Yeah, that was the weekend.
Yeah.
We should probably put it in the description.
This will be in the description. I'll send it right now into...
I told Hans I can't handle another math puzzle. I'm dumb.
Well, that's the thing. Like
a little bit.
with these with ARGs, I think it should be more than just cryptology or cryptography.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. It's just the easy puzzle. The easy puzzle is meant to be super, like, stupid.
Anyways, so find it. It'll be in the description or wherever else you can find it. At the end of this episode, I'll talk about the harder version of this binary puzzle. Or is it harder? Anyways, so I want to start off with 14.6. It is an ARG that I recently finished, and I have to say it is probably one of my favorite ARGs to date. And that is because it is timeless as long as the website stays up, or the multiple websites stay up. It is super immersive. Whose background is that? Brady?
So walk me through,
So,
as someone who's not into
yes,
it, like,
14.6.
tell me, like, give me your elevator pitch.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one that's...
Right, yeah. So, as with most ARGs, it started on Reddit as a post. And this Reddit post, it was an in-depth story already, introduction to this entire thing. He was like, yeah, I got this letter, and help me out here, go to this link. And this link, you could see, it was a full page of already an in-depth story. You had all these characters, you had these visuals that came with the storyline, and I tried to reverse image search them, and it did not come up on Bing or Google. And so I was like, wow, so this guy actually put a lot of effort into this. So later on, I did comment on that same Reddit post and said, wow, this is really good. Thanks for making it. And he responded, yeah, thanks. So I thought it was pretty cool. Like,
Nice.
he says it's an ARG. Like, on the Reddit thing, it says, hi, I'm an ARG. So, even though we know it's an ARG, it didn't take away from the fact that the storyline was so good. I don't want to give away a lot because I want people to try to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's because, like I said, it's a timeless ARG. You could pick it up at any time, start to finish, and you won't miss out any of it. Because, yeah, it was so good. Some features of the ARG is the guy made accompanying EXEs or games that go with the story. There's an audio aspect, video aspect. It takes you through multiple websites. And there's also the puzzle solving as usual. Not a lot of cryptography. Like, the very first puzzle is a ROT 13 shift, so Caesar cipher. And then at the very end, you take in all of the information that you got and put it together to get to the ending. I feel very reluctant to say anything after that, but
Okay.
I think I'm going to say it because it shouldn't take away from the experience. There is a real world counterpart to this ARG. And it takes place in Denver, Colorado, and as soon as I finished it, found out that there's a real world counterpart, like, you could do this all online. Everything start to finish all online, and it doesn't take away from any of the experience. But there's an additional part, which, if you want, you go to Denver, Colorado, and experience something else that's still a part of the story. And as soon as I finished the online part, I was like, wow, I feel like I want to take a road trip to this place right now. And honestly, sometime in the future, I might actually go and do it. So,
yeah.
For those of you guys who tried to follow from the start, it was called Peril at Sea, and then, it was called L. Nichols, and then we changed it to Peril at Sea because Peril at Sea was the video game arcade cabinet that started this entire adventure thing. But then we find out that it's actually called 14-6, and there's the numbers ish significant to the story. So yeah, 14-6. I really recommend it. Actually, 9.5 out of 10, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's that.
There is no update on evaluation at all.
Okay, yeah, let's move on to evaluation for you. So that's another ARG that we have talked about before.
So the thing is, the channel itself isn't even called Evaluation for You anymore. It's called Sarah Haynes, which is making me wonder, what?
Did they, like, it makes you feel like, did they stop this ARG or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
there's that, and I picked up on it whenever I was watching the second, like, public video that they have, because they have 3 videos. They have, or they might even have more that's unlisted, but the 3 that we know of is evaluation pre-exam, evaluation, what was the first one called? I can't remember.
A bunch of random characters.
Evaluation exam 1, and then we have evaluation for you program, and then it has a bunch of other stuff, and then they found us. So whenever I was watching that last video, which is actually public on the channel, I looked back at the first public video, the pre-exam, and I noticed that there was a comment on it by like it's just a bunch of random numbers and letters as their YouTube username. I noticed that it was there, but I didn't think anything about it. But it's a comment that says 2019-07-12 thread arrow ID Y14 arrow priority 1 reset. And, you know, I didn't really think much about it. And then, because, I mean, it came out 2 weeks before evaluation program came out, which is the first video that I was talking about. And so I didn't think it had anything to do with it, because the channel didn't change its name until a week and a half ago.
The new video, I think.
No, it changed after the new video. And I didn't really think anything of it. And then, what's his name? I think it was Criminy. Yeah, Criminy said something about it, and I was like, I didn't really think as much about it. But then he was like, maybe that just means that they're ending it.
Yeah.
Which could be true. So maybe it's over. It was horrible. If it is over, it's still horrible even if it isn't, because we have no leads on it whatsoever.
Why do you put so much time into this?
See, we really didn't.
Well,
Okay.
the reason that we
like
still bring it up is because we were invested in it at the start, and we kind of want to figure out what is going on. Even though there isn't that much substance, it's just kind of like, hey, it's part of this thing, this group that we want to figure out what's going on with it now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was just horrible. Like,
I think it's funny how we just went from an ARG that I praised super highly of and
then we're like,
down to this crappy.
I like how you have like this dichotomy going on of like these two
Alright,
ARGs that you're
so
probably, like one the best and one of the worst.
Yeah.
like this is like if you tried to like do anything with this, you would hate yourself. Like,
for you, it does not have any. It does not make sense. It's just at a dead end. Like, so if they haven't did it, good, because it was crappy.
I just don't understand. Like, I just can't. Maybe this is because I'm in a completely different position, being like an ARG creator, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I just can't. I can't be bothered to put any amount of time into these kinds of things, like even to try it.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's so much, like the market for those kinds of ARGs, the latter, is like so oversaturated on Reddit.
Right.
Like they're just everywhere. Like that's the majority.
Well, if you want, I would really highly recommend trying 14.6.
Okay.
The experience is just by far one of the best that I've
Don't try evaluation.
gone through. Yeah, not evaluation. Anyways, so Aidan, you're here. Hello.
Hello.
Let's
What's up?
let's get started with who are you? Who is this
okay.
Aidan Elliott kid?
So, yeah, that's that. I hear that all the time. So, I am. I would consider myself a filmmaker first and foremost. I guess the more generic term would be storyteller. I love telling stories through media, through filmmaking, through ARGs, immersive storytelling, whatever you want to call it. I love telling stories, and I've been fascinated with. Well, I've been interested in filmmaking since I was 5 years old, and I've been interested in ARGs since I was 11. So this has been something that's sort of been a lifelong journey, I guess, and continuing to pave the way for. I don't even know what's coming next, but I'm just glad to be here and glad to be making content and telling good stories for people.
Yeah, and I appreciate you for creating all this content. It's really enjoyable to watch all that. Yeah, actually. Alright, so to follow that up, why did you get into creating TSV?
So it started out as a short film I was making with a buddy of mine, Ezekiel. He and I were just like, you know what? Let's just make a short film just for grins, just something small and simple that we can get done easily, and just put out there. And this was early 2018, so maybe like February or March. And I so we got together and we were filming that. We came up with this idea of like at night these creatures come out and they hunt you basically. So it was like super I was happy with the creature designs. which ended up being the strobe lights.
Mhm.
And they were, I mean, that was probably the thing that has changed the least over the course of TheSunVanished's history. That was one of the first things that I came up with, and it was originally going to be just this short, just this like 5-minute short film about these two guys that are like trying to basically survive the night with these creatures roaming around.
Gotcha.
in the
So
forest.
how did it become from just being the nighttime creatures to the entirety of the Earth being
So
Dark.
along the way, we shot a little bit of that. We didn't get very far with it. But I was thinking like, oh, I should like develop this idea more, and we should do like an ARG marketing kind of thing for the short film. Because I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at ARGs now. Let me give this a shot. Of like doing like, but it was solely for the purpose of like promoting the film, and it was like, I mean, it was gonna be like the character was gonna be like sort of warning people about all the things transpiring, and so I eventually kind of came up on my own time, kind of like came up with this idea of actually it wasn't just nighttime, it was nighttime all the time, and so that turned into, okay, the sun disappeared, and so and then these creatures roaming around.
I see.
And so I posted like the first few tweets and like the video, and like I think it was like through it was up until the second video, which was TSV going outside, I believe. And at that point, I like the Twitter account picked up steam so fast, because I was just sending it around just for grins to a couple of my friends, and one of them happened to be Fantastic Daily, who he's not making videos now, but at the time he did like analysis stuff for like weird, creepy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, dude, this is great. Like, I should make a video about this. And I'm like, sweet, dude. That sounds great. So then from there it just snowballed. Soon, like, Rainbot was, like, covering it and all this stuff. So, like, people got interested and invested very, very quickly. And so then I rethought the whole story, and I was like, okay, let's just, because at this point we hadn't done any more of the short film at that point as far as filming, and we weren't really, scheduling or whatever. It just wasn't really working out to where we would get back to it super soon. So I was like, you know what, I actually like the idea of it being just the Twitter account, so let's just turn it into like a full-blooded ARG and have it only online and no film counterpart. Or like setting up for the film. So I reincorporated like a lot of the main characters of the short film ended up turning into and kind of evolving into TSV and Danyan, and so that's how that came about.
Okay. So I don't know if you're psychic or what, but you're answering these questions that I have written down already. So when TSV first blew up, like, I remember hearing about it, and I noticed hearing about it for the first time, and I noticed it wasn't that many tweets, and you were already starting to get more and more followers every day. How did it feel to have that happen, I guess?
Really surreal, because I just wasn't. It was, and when I tell the story of like how that came about or how I came up with the idea or whatever, the reoccurring theme is like this was not purposeful. This is completely accidental. Like I thought it would be. Not that I didn't put thought into the story itself, but at that point in time, I was just like, yeah, this is just, fun little side thing that I can just toy around with. and not really I didn't put a lot of emotional weight into it from the get go. So whenever it suddenly was like blowing up, I was like kind of reeling a bit and thinking about like, okay, how can I mean, that's when I really started going to the drawing board and really fleshing out this universe in my head so that I could make a good leeway and have this rule set that I make tweets by, and I didn't, and I wanted to kind of keep the magic of the first several days tweets in that I was just it was all off the cuff. As far as like, and I'm still doing that to this day of how the tweets are made. I don't do like storyboarding or like a timeline, like a specific timeline or anything. I have a set ending. I have a few big plot points in mind, but that is all of the planning that I've done with the story. So all the individual tweets and the things that happen sort of come to me organically. Which I think works really well, and it's fun doing that because then it's still sort of a toy box of like, okay, what sort of interesting situations can I put these characters in, and what can I say thematically about all this, like what, and I mean that's sort of going on another tangent, but I think like the thematic thing is like something I'm really big on with storytelling. And I think it's something that a lot of people miss, of like, oh, like, yeah, let me just tell a story about the sun disappearing. It's like, if it was just that, I don't think people would be interested. Like, there's a human element here. And I think a lot of this also, I kind of fall back on my filmmaking instincts with a lot of that, because that's like when... like filmmakers are way more invested in the emotional part than like the logistical things. That's
I saw you responded to
so many. Yeah. That's why films have so many plot holes and all that. It's like, does that really matter? At the end of the day, it really doesn't. Like, the stuff that matters and the stuff that impacts people is the emotional element.
The people, yeah. There was I don't remember which YouTuber, but he talked about Marble Hornets, and how the really cool part about that was the characters in it. It was their development. It was the whole revenge story idea. And then when Ekva came, at first that was completely taken out. There was a lack of characters until a few episodes in, we started seeing that. Yeah, there is a main character.
It's a nice way to introduce other characters.
Yeah, well, and with Ekva, I have some strong feelings about Ekva, because I think that's one of the main reasons why it failed, generally, because I don't think Troy put a lot of thought into the stuff that made the stuff that worked with Marble Hornets. I don't think he ever really sat down and thought about why it worked so well or why it resonated with people so well. And I think he just like, oh yeah, well, I'll just strike lightning twice because I'm me. And that's a mistake that a lot of people make, even myself. I think, especially like I want to be careful to not do that, because I mean, even if you look like George Lucas with the prequels, like, oh yeah, I made Star Wars, like I can totally handle this.
I can make
he never really understood why it resonated with people to begin with, and why it was such a cultural phenomenon.
You have to take a look at the things that succeeded within it. Yeah,
exactly. I don't think people sit down and really think about that. And to be fair, a lot of that I think is subjective. Of like, okay, like I can say it's one thing, you can say it's another, and we're both probably somewhat right. But I think it's incorporating all of that into whatever new, like, find what works, and you don't want to rehash it.
Yeah, but also sometimes you might not know what went right with your last production,
Right,
and sometimes you gotta go at it again, and if it fails, then you should realize that, or you should compare what happened between your most recent one and the last one that succeeded. What's the difference? And
Yeah.
yeah, so all right, yeah, that's there's that. So the next question, what?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. So next question is, for the first time TSV was put on hiatus, what you actually revealed that you were the creator of TSV, because up to that point, no one knew who the actual creator was.
Right.
So after you tweeted out, "Hey," I don't know where the actual tweet is, but you said it would be put on hold or something.
Yeah, so I actually, what I did, because I knew I would get backlash from it regardless. Because ARG people are really, really fixated on their immersion. So what I did is I sort of, on an out of game avenue, I sort of created that for myself, so I could, for the people who knew where to look, they could know, and I could be like, hey, like, this is, by the way, I'm the creator, this is why it's going to be on hold for a bit, because I hated the idea of, like, just going silent and people not knowing why, or having any sort of tangible way to cope with that, because I know that would freak people out.
That's true.
So I had an interview with Fantastic Daily, and that's when I sort of came out as the creator, and it explained my point of view on all that, and that really, yeah.
So what was the actual reaction from the general public?
It's really hard to, even now, like, I don't even know what. I don't think there was a consistent answer. I think there was a large portion of people who were like, okay, cool, yeah, thanks for letting us know, glad to meet you, blah blah blah, whatever. But I think there's also a portion of people who are like, how fucking dare you come out of your shell before the story is over. My immersion is ruined. I can't enjoy it anymore. This is bullshit. I'm out.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And you'll see. I mean, if you look on Reddit and stuff, you'll see. I argued with people a lot on that, because I just think, and to this day, I think that point is complete BS, because you can. There's no other medium besides this medium where people can get away with saying that. Like, if you say, like, oh, how dare you make a video game and then say this, take credit for it. It's like, dude, that's like part of it. If you make a film, you get credit for it. If you make.
Yeah.
So we've cultivated, I think the problem is, because people have done it one way for so long, it makes a certain group of people who are used to the way that it's been done, which is you stay anonymous until the series is over. So people are used to seeing that, and so when someone doesn't do that, they freak out. But even Marble Hornets is a great example where they did just that. They in between season 1 and 2, they had an outer game avenue where they revealed themselves as the creators, and people got to talk with them and ask them questions and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even, I mean, if you even look, I wish I had the tweet on hand, but Tim Sutton even piped in on some tweet that was railing on me about revealing myself.
Oh, huh.
He was like, dude,
Wow.
we did that with Marble Hornets back in the day. Like, what are you talking about? And he's completely right. So it's like, I think that point is dumb. I don't think it's based on anything except just that they don't like it.
Gotcha.
And if you don't like it, then that's fine. But you can't. at least the vocal people, and maybe there's a group of people that I don't even know exist who are just like, yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. Hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
I totally respect that. But when you like clarify yourself as like an authority of the medium and like people don't do this, you just ruined everything, and that's just not. It's just not true. It's just not true.
For my point of view, because I think I share the perspective of the creator side mostly because I like to create a lot of things, not just ARGs, but a lot of different other medias. And I think personally, if I know who the creator is, it gives me a lot more respect for them. That
sure.
So then I can put a face to who made this. Since you came out with saying you made TSV and all that stuff, I was like, oh hey, this guy seems pretty cool. I'm glad that I can now see there's a face to this story. And I appreciate that, but not everyone shares that same perspective.
Well, not just that. Like, when you can put a face to the project and you're a fan of it and you know who it is, you can check out their other projects.
That is true.
Yeah. And if you don't know who it is, like, that sucks. Because if you want something similar, then how are you going to find it?
Yeah, exactly.
And it goes beyond credit. Like, it's good to have the credit for making something, but you also want your other works to be known.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's something like, ultimately the credit thing, at least right now, I don't really care about that. What I cared, especially at the time, what I cared about was more, I mean, there's a whole list of reasons why I decided to do what I did. I don't know if I should get into all of it, but there's a lot. Just, as far as people getting confused with like game jackers and knowing which, what accounts are like real authentic canon accounts and issues like that where people are taking advantage of everything being anonymous. I wanted to cut that shit out and just be like, look, I'm verified as the creator. This is how it is. You can't game jack anymore because everyone knows now that this is what I say goes as far as the canon. And I'm fine with fan works and all that, but game jacking was getting really bad early on.
I saw, yeah. I realized that I ended up following some other accounts that weren't actually part of the story.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy for people to be like, oh yeah, well, I guess this is part of it too. And I ended up kind of using that to my advantage actually with making the Nat
account,
Sun News.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, I want to. Like, there's so much like the positive side of the game jacking is like there's so many creative people who are invested in telling stories in this universe. So it's like, okay, how can I harness that in a controlled environment where they don't fuck up the canon and but still like expand the universe and do some world building. So that's why I came up with the idea of the Lost Sun News account of having like people telling their stories and telling their experiences or whatever, and having that as like a thing. And that actually turned out really well. And now and ever since then, I don't really think about that super often, but ever since that account was created, game jacking has been hardly ever an issue. So that like helped.
I thought that was a really cool addition to the storyline.
I wish more people would steal that idea. Honestly, like if you're gonna steal ideas from me, fucking use that.
Use that part.
Do something where you can harness game jackers, because that's a total game changer.
Take in audience input and.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about those other accounts. Recently, Tucker sent out 2 tweets. What? So, those tweets responded, or basically answers the absence, but Do you have anything to say about the current Twitter accounts? Any of the three?
Nope.
No? Just gonna keep your mouth shut about it? Alright, that's
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
Well, I will say, well, the main reason why everything is kind of slowed down over the last several months is because I've been working on the TheSunVanished web series,
Right.
and that's been taking up a lot of my time. But that actually, I was on crunch mode for that over the last month or so, because I was going to begin filming last month.
Mm-hmm.
But like scheduling conflicts kept coming up, and so I eventually kind of redistributed my creative focus of like, okay, I'm gonna take the web series much slower. I'm gonna make sure I do that the right way and don't rush it. And like so I'm doing that much more slowly. So now I actually have time to focus on the Twitter account and wrap up this arc. Because it is all I'll say is that this is, and I've said this before, but this is the beginning of the end.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So,
so that's actually the next thing that I have on the list, which is the web series. Right here, I literally have it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you still want to keep it under wraps, but is there anything you have to say about it?
so it's going to be perfectly clear, because I think people are still confused on this, and they'll get less confused whenever I have more content out there about the web series. Like whenever I release trailers and stuff, I think it'll make more sense to people. But it's not going to. This is not a continuation of the Twitter saga.
It is
The
not.
Twitter saga is going to stay self-contained.
Okay.
This is going to be
Okay,
more
so
like. Yeah, this is gonna be more like going back, like jumping around in time of like telling stories in this universe
So it's
with different characters.
Sounds interesting.
it's another part of the universe, just not the same
Just not the same plot.
Yeah,
story.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the
Not
sound
the
of
same
that.
characters. Okay.
Very interesting.
I'm really pumped for it.
Thank you
Me
for
too.
for that
Me too.
insight.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so excited. I think you guys are gonna dig this. I keep telling people that because I don't want to give away what all is involved, but it's
Yeah.
it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question. What got you into filmmaking?
That's a really good question because I don't have like a good answer.
Was there like a specific film that you saw or a short film, something like that? And you were like, wow, I'd love to do that.
I've had moments of like where I've sort of come back to that. Like, okay, so let me go to the beginning of the timeline. So
Right.
I've been interested in filmmaking since I was 5. I made a stop motion short film when I was 5 years old. And before that, before the stop motion short film, I was just like, yeah, like as a super young kid, like even then I was like enamored by filmmaking and just the whole process. So it started there, and then it grew, and I made, I got Sony Vegas, my first piece of software, editing software, shortly after the stop motion short film, and I just did stuff on my own. I didn't even post most of it, but I just like honed in my skills without even really realizing it. Because I would just do that in my free time. I was homeschooled, so I would get done with school and then I would just like make stuff for the rest of the day and just edit it. So I honed in my skill set through that. And even now I still use Vegas because I'm just so like I know it like the back of my hand.
Right.
So, and then I don't think I ever stopped doing that sort of thing. But there's definitely been times in my life where I'm like, do I really care about this? Like, is this thing as important to me as I perceive it to be? And there's like and so I would cite a couple movies in particular that are like my top favorite movies that have kind of brought me back to filmmaking. Of like, God, like this is cinema. This is what storytelling is all about. First one I think was Maze Runner, 2014. I saw that in theaters, and that blew me away as far as just. And I still think it's still one of my favorite movies, just because, and I feel like I have to defend it to people because it's a YA movie. But I mean, I genuinely like it way more than like Hunger Games or Divergent or any of the other YA movies. I think if you guys haven't seen it, highly recommend it.
I like it. It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
The pacing is top notch. Everything is edited super smoothly. The music is great. The acting is great. It's just so, I don't know. I can't think of any parts about it that I don't like. And I saw that in theaters, and I was like, dude, like this is the kind of shit I want to make. This is what I want to do. So that sort of re-sparked the flame. Even though I don't think the flame ever really went out, I think that was like a growth moment for me personally. Of like, I want. Like, God, I really want to do this. And then, like, I would say, like, the second time that happened was with Blade Runner 2049. I saw that in 2017.
Oh.
Also in theaters.
I've heard
And
it's a
that
good movie.
was,
It is a good movie.
I again, highly recommend it. That's a much more widely widely praised movie. And yeah, it's incredible. And ever since then, I've been really into movies, and I'd go see movies all the time. And I try to stay away from film Twitter though, or like any sort of like filmmaker social media, because it's just I don't know.
It's horrible.
There's a lot of egos going around, and I don't know. Yeah, which is I just don't like. I don't share a lot of the same beliefs or tastes as a lot of like film snobs do, and so that automatically puts me in another camp of like, I just still appreciate classics, but it's like the movies that really speak to me on a personal level are ones that aren't really widely received as classics. They're more kind of underground, or like only like almost like how cult classics used to be.
Yeah.
People say Pulp Fiction is a cult classic. It's not. Literally everyone loves Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
There's no cult about it. It's just a classic. So.
Right.
But anyway.
Okay.
I hope that answered your question. I went on a tangent there.
That is all good.
I was to ask you that anyways, like what your top films were, and then you went ahead and I was like...
Yeah, Aidan is a psychic. He...
Well, I'm automatically thinking about all those things, so I'm like, so I just kind of, I let my mouth just kind of like...
Well, you're
go on.
fine.
No, you're all good. Alright, so we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break right here. And we're back from our break, and so we were just talking about the Dad ARG.
God, you're loud.
We were talking about the Dad ARG, and Brady asked me, or actually all of us, what we think about the hiatus that it's currently on. And
I believe it's on hiatus.
so what's currently happening is Dad has come out of character as Nathan too. So is Dad playing Nathan? What's going on is Nathan has basically taken over Dad's account and all that stuff. And
I didn't even realize. Oh, dude, that's totally a part of the story.
It's I want to say it's a part of the story. It's all of it.
I don't even know. I haven't even watched any of the videos about this, but just hearing it, this is definitely a part of the story. Because you knew about Nathan's interview with Jamie Inside of Mind, right?
Yeah.
With the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Where he was like, yeah, this guy it's like a deep fake. Like Dad is like, I don't know about, like, he was so in character about all of it.
Oh wow.
So I think there is an in-game Nathan that we're dealing with here.
See, the thing
sure.
is, the new series does tie into Dad, because
Okay.
the last episode on the Dad channel,
Oh, I haven't been.
isn't it season 2?
I haven't been keeping up.
Okay, well, I think it was in season 2, right? There's season 1, and then there's only 2 seasons. is
No
what I'm
idea.
saying, right? I'm pretty sure there is. Anyway, during the last episode, it shows Nathan at I can only assume it's like an Area 51 place type of thing. I don't know. I don't know. And Nathan's walking, and some dude that has the camera drives up to him, and he's like, I don't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, "Get in," and then Nathan's just kind of like, "Who are you?" And he says his name's like Sloka, something like that. I don't remember. And it kind of just like then they drive off and it ends there.
Oh, that video. I did watch that video. Huh. Oh, yeah.
And then in the description it links to the new channel, or I think it's the new channel.
UFO thing.
Yeah, yeah.
No idea.
But
It's all part of a story. The whole Dad universe. I'm pretty sure it's all
Yeah.
part of the Dad universe. There's a new video
I
that
agree.
came out an hour ago, actually, if you guys want to check it out later. But
Yeah, I need to catch up on all that. I was very interested in it from the get-go, especially when Jamie inside of mine was I think he made his first video and the podcast they did interviewing Nathan. I was super invested in that, and then I just kind of dropped off. I hate that I kind of, in retrospect, I kind of hate that, because I feel like I need to be more involved in what people are interested in with this sort of thing, and at the same time, I really it bums me out when people tell me that, oh yeah, I like kept up with TSV at the beginning, but then it just kind of like stopped. And I'm like, dude, like, man, that sucks.
yeah.
Kind of hurts
That's
my
not-
feelings.
that's not really like all the creators' fault, you know? Like sometimes it's just like it's not like they get bored with it, it's just
I mean,
Or-
yeah, I get it. You know, life comes up, whatever. I totally get it. I just,
Yeah.
because I mean, that's what happened to me. I never like gotten bored with Dad. I just didn't keep up with it, and so, but like I hate that is the case, because I don't like it when that's done to me on the creative side of things.
yeah.
I just feel like I feel like I'm obliged to set an example. Like, see everything through that I can.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, the next thing we have written down. So, let's talk about ARGs. Just the topic of ARGs.
Sweet.
Right here. So, on your website, actually, or somewhere at least, you say that TSV isn't just an ARG, it's a lot more. And I like that, because okay, so ARG, it's such a muddied term that there's a lot of subsets of it, and I've tried to clarify a little bit of it by supporting the idea of ARNs. So
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. That's what I mean. That was. Well, sorry, I'll let you ask the question.
Okay, yeah. Do you think TSV is closer to an ARN, perhaps?
So, this has been a constant debate with people. Because I'm of the school of thought where, I mean, if you look at the original blog post, and it's actually a great read, talking about this issue from like a decade ago.
Oh, you should link us to it.
Yeah, I should link it. from the original creator of the term ARG himself.
Oh, uh-huh.
And his whole thing is like he says the Cliff Notes version of the blog, because it's huge. It's a long blog post, but it's a really good read. But the Cliff Notes version is that, he's like, look, I purposefully made the ARG definition vague so we wouldn't run into this issue of like constricting it and
Right.
not letting it grow. And that's the thing that's the very thing that I feel like people haven't learned. Oh yeah, there you go. Bladerman has the link there.
Oh, thank you very much.
You can put it in
Oh,
chat.
thank
Yeah.
Wanna-
It's called Undefining ARG. Yeah. Bladerman says I have that on hand because of how many people argue about this constantly. It's such a common argument of like, well, yeah, but ARGs have to have X, Y, Z. It's like I understand that to an extent because you do follow, like, you don't want to like undefine it to the point where like anything could be an ARG. Like that would be stupid. But at the
Very
same
true,
time,
yeah.
At the same time, I feel like there's like people getting anal about, well, there's not enough audience interaction. Like all of that is so subjective to begin with. Of like, okay, how do you define? And if you ask people, not any one person is gonna say the same thing about what they feel is the definition of an ARG. And we can't agree on definitions, and that's a really frustrating note to be on because like comparing it to other mediums, like we all can agree that a movie is a movie. Like we know, very true, there's been a lot of documentation on what makes a movie and what is all involved, and we can all agree on what is and isn't a movie. It's pretty straightforward. Same with games, same with a lot of things, music, whatever. But I think people use and as I'm saying all of this aloud, I'm kind of realizing I think people use the definition angle as a crutch for like how older people will call like certain types of new music that it's not music, it's just noise.
Yeah.
That's a common argument, and I feel like that's sort of like the same thing that's going on with ARG stuff, where there's a certain group of people who are, I would venture to say, are jaded and do not like an evolution of the
Yeah, they're not open
medium.
to the new ideas of it.
Yeah, and they're like, well, an ARG has to be this X, Y, and Z. You don't have this element, so this isn't an ARG. And so for the longest time, my response to that was, you're wrong. But that didn't work because people, it's not gonna change their minds. So then,
Right.
You're wrong.
So then I was like, okay, well, fuck ARGs. Let's just create a new term. So I started coining the term immersive stories. And that I think that works, but I think I'm at a third position now.
Oh, okay.
Where I feel like being overtly concerned about what the label is, I think is kind of fruitless, because the whole point of this medium
Also,
is
yeah,
to
this
expand boundaries.
Yeah, this entire form of medium is heavily reliant on technology, social media, or however way we can communicate with an audience, that it's dependent on technology. And because technology is relatively new compared to book writing, even movie productions, it's still relatively new, and so there's still a lot that we could explore, try to solidify an actual label or definition for what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. You're right, because if you take movies, like the way that we've consumed movies has been the exact same over the last 100 years. Like nothing has changed. except for little things like, okay, how accessible are the movies? What size of the screen is it? Now we can have smaller versions in our homes.
Yeah, streaming, all that stuff. But it's still the same way we're watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas if you compare like a Twitter ARG to like a puzzle ARG, like they are so vastly different. It's amazing that they even share the same name because they're so the same medium label. So that's why I've kind of edged off, because I used to be not paranoid, but yeah, I used to be super annoyed by the fixation on the ARG definition of like, well, it's X, Y, and Z only, and limiting it and constricting it. And I don't even bother with trying to make a new label for it, because people have been trying to do that for like since ARGs have been created. Like people tried, like, for example, and people tried using the term transmedia for the longest time.
Oh yeah.
And it just did not pick up because, so there's lots of labels like that floating around, and unless they're like adopted, I'm just not gonna push the term immersive stories or push the term ARN or anything like that. It's simply because it hasn't been adopted yet. Like, it's only a small group of people who are like, this makes sense.
That's true.
And I think no matter how much it makes sense, unless a wide variety of people adopt it, it's not going to make a difference.
Not just that, like, it doesn't matter what the term is, it's just what matters is the stuff that's being created. It doesn't have to be called an ARG or something.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, that's the silly thing about it. Like, if you go into, and I've said this because I've gone into debates and arguments, especially on like the ARG subreddit Discord, where people get super hung up on that, and it's like, look, you guys are like this is the equivalent of like arguing if this piece of literature is science fiction or fantasy. It's like, who cares? Why aren't you debating about what the literature is saying, not what the literature is categorized in? It just doesn't make absolutely no sense to me. Like, if you're gonna rip TSV to shreds, like, which by all means I think people should, that's partially why it exists, and what will make everything evolve is to rip the things that already exist to shreds. So for that to happen, I would rather people fixate on the contents of the story, and not that whether it's an ARG or not. Like, that's such a low priority, and it just like. That's
true, yeah.
Sort of intellectual conversation. Like,
the actual content is the story and what's being produced, not what it's not what are you producing, it's what is being produced.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But also, at the same time, it is still something that I think it should still be talked about, just to figure out what are we doing, why, or what is this category that we're exploring, what is this form of entertainment.
For sure. Well, I think that, to be honest with you, I think the constant debates about the definition of ARGs is just a symptom of the larger problem, which is that ARGs in general are having an identity crisis right now.
Yeah.
Because you have a group of people who are pushing forward and pushing this into new mediums, and I would consider this, that group to be the, I don't want to say the correct group, but I think that's where everyone should be moving in the right direction of, like, look, if you want more people to actually, like, enjoy ARGs, like, you can't be a gatekeeper and be like, oh, well, it has to look like X, Y, and Z. And if you want stuff like TSV to exist, or stuff like DAD to exist, like, this is bringing in people that don't even know the term ARG exists.
Yeah.
This is way out of our paradigm. And so if you want the medium to expand, I think that's the mindset that you should be in. But there's an inconvenient majority, at least it feels like, in the ARG community that doesn't like that thought. They want to keep. It's like they've become nostalgic and jaded enough to where they want to keep everything the way it has been, which is ironic because it started out as a very progressive medium to begin with. So then to become so traditionalist about it is just so ironic and beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Oh,
So,
well. Oh, go ahead.
So I don't remember if this is on break or not, but you were talking about one of your favorite games was Soma.
yeah.
What are other games? Like, what kind of games do you enjoy playing?
Okay.
Complete left turn.
Yeah, that's a...
Complete left turn, but you know.
Yeah. So Soma, Metro, those were the two that I highly recommend. I'm trying to think of others. With video games, I'm a little disappointed in the medium as a whole right now, just because I feel like it's way too fixated on gameplay and not enough of like telling good stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, the beginner's guide, Blader Man.
Oh, that's
brought
yeah.
up.
That's good.
The beginner's guide is really excellent. Stanley Parable is another good one. I like a lot of, if you can't tell, I like a lot of indie games.
So do I.
Yeah.
I primarily play indie games whenever I do, which is rare because I'm lazy as a lot.
Not a lot all the time.
But I have
Okay.
a lot of download.
Yeah.
that I can play.
By the way,
that was just a question.
yeah, no, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's fine, yeah.
And by the way, someone asked, Jade Styla
Right.
asked, if there's any content on the web series yet, and where it can be accessed. So Jade, this is gonna be an opportunity for me to plug my Patreon because that's going to be the main place where like behind the scenes stuff is going to happen, and I'm actually going to have a production diary there that's going to also function as like a creative workshop for people who are interested in making web series or just telling stories in general. And so I'm gonna like go down to a detailed technical level of like how I'm doing everything that I'm doing, and how that can apply to whatever you're creating. And so it'll be super fun. I hope it'll be informative for people, and I'm working on that. Nothing of that is released yet, but it will be very soon, and that's going to be an ongoing series that you can access through my Patreon, leading up to the release of the TSV web series. So that's going to be like an ongoing thing.
That's really cool.
So I'm really excited for that.
Is your Patreon just Aidan Elliott?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Here I'll be ultra shill and post the link myself. Hold on.
All right. Yeah, you can find all of these links that we mentioned in the description of podcast support descriptions. So anywhere you can find a description for this episode, it'll be on YouTube.
Website?
I haven't been posting the episodes on the website. I'll figure something out with that. You can find it. I think you guys are smart enough. So, yeah.
I
It was probably good.
can't remember my my Twitch account, but I posted it in the server, so you guys can do what you want with that.
I see. Okay. All right. So, let's continue on back to the filmmaking side. So you've created Freywater and Factors of Zero.
Yes.
Freywater, that was definitely something that, I don't know, the experience was something else, I think, for me.
That's really good to hear.
I liked it, yeah.
That's really cool.
What, actually, overall, for filmmaking, I guess, creating TSV, do you have any tips on just beginner stuff, I guess? What problems you encountered? Just any comments on that?
Yeah, so in super general terms, I would like if I were sitting down and talking to someone who was like, hey, like I want to make a short film, I want to make a series, or I want to make, like an ARG or something like that. Like to any of those, my advice would mostly be the same in generic terms, in that, find out find out something that you're passionate about, something emotional that you're very passionate about, and use that as fuel, and the rest, I think the rest will fall into place.
Okay.
As important as like hooks and all of that are, because that's something that I've delved into before, but I honestly don't even give that advice as often, only because I feel like the thing that a lot of the thing that I want new creators to glean from my work or anyone's work, is that have the emotional part set, and the rest will totally, if you have that down on lock, then the rest will come to you, and it will be amazing. Because honestly, that's really the only way that I've learned. Most of my stuff I've been self-taught, or I've asked people who are in the industry. I've asked them questions and kind of picked their brain, and sort of taken on a couple of mentorships. But overall, I've just kind of learned all of that myself, and I feel like the emotional aspect to it is so important, and that's the thing that your audience is gonna connect with, and that's something that's personal to you. So that's something that you're automatically passionate about. It doesn't have to be whatever that looks like. That could be anything. I mean, that's just and it doesn't necessarily have to be from experience either. It doesn't have to be your this I had a really bad breakup, so I have to use that as creative fuel. It doesn't have to look like that. It can be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be an example of how you could use that, of okay, what then you craft the story around that, of how all of that unfolds.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. No other comments, but that was really good. That's
thanks. I mean,
thank you for that.
Super generic, but
it's a big thing that a lot of people miss. Yeah. All right. On a similar topic, you were on This Room Does Not Exist, right?
Oh yeah. So that's I did some. I haven't starred in it yet.
Yeah, that's what so I really like that series. It's a really good one, and
yeah, I do too.
We haven't seen you on it yet, but
I don't know. So I don't know. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know how all that is going to unfold. Right now.
Okay.
I mean, you've seen. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but you have seen some footage that I've taken, or my character has taken, I should say. So it's in there and it's around. I just don't. I don't know when that's going to go to the next level, or even maybe it won't. Maybe it'll. I don't know what it's going to look like.
So you're out of the loop for what the actual things what's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet though. It's,
all right.
I'm really.
Well, do you have any?
Really glad to
do you want to plug that series a little bit?
Well, yeah. So I mean, oh gosh, I'm probably not the person to plug it though. But go watch it for yourself. Go watch Nexpo's video is really good. That talks about it. But I would, before anything else, I would watch it just from the get go. It's a pretty easy watch. All the videos are pretty short and consistent quality, and it's if you can, I think it, with a lot of sort of ARG oriented stuff, it's very character heavy. So you kind of, I think when you sit down and watch it, you kind of have to be in a certain mood and mindset, especially with the dialogue heavy videos where it's just the main character talking in front of the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's where the series shines, but it's also kind of a part of it that can be hard to watch if you're not invested in it the way that you should be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to definitely watch it, but find the right time. Find a time where you're excited about it and you want to sit down and dive in.
Yeah. Yeah, I would really recommend you guys watch it as well. On that same topic, I guess, Lexel Studios, they're really great. From even just This Room Does Not Exist, you can see them going somewhere, I think.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You guys should get him on the podcast.
I will try to do that.
Hook you guys up. I can hook you guys up if you.
Oh, please.
Want or need it.
But this is that same topic we were talking about earlier before the recording about networking.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Dude.
knew that this sounded familiar. This room does not exist, and I searched it, and now I'm like, oh, that's what that is. And I was like, my brain.
All right. So yeah, there's that. Yeah. There's praise for that.
Yeah. I really like them.
That.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched a video on it. Yeah, I watched an expose on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I really
same,
I really love those guys. But the only thing I hate is that they live on the other side of the planet, and it's really hard for us to.
It's the upside down land.
Oh yeah, it must.
I know.
Must be horrible.
Yeah, everything's upside down there. Anyways, moving on. So I watched your podcasts on that you put up on YouTube, Aiden. And you mentioned that you wrote or you made the Cave of Shadows ARG.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, so are you familiar with that?
No, I am not.
Thank God.
So you mentioned that it was a cult ARG, and
Yes.
uh,
Not cult classic. Just like
no.
an ARG about cults.
an ARG about cults.
Um,
Oh, was it about cults or was
yes,
it?
It was involving. So, I guess I'll give the elevator pitch to this, even though it probably sounds way cooler than what it actually was. So it was going to be. If I revisited it, I think I could make it work really well. But at the time, it was my first ARG, so.
Mhm.
And I was 15 at the time, so take that.
Oh wow.
Take it all, yeah. Take that for what you will. But it was so. The whole thing was, there's this this creepy YouTube channel called Cave of Shadows, and it was like
Is it still up?
I think it is. I think the videos are down though.
Ah.
Purposefully.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, dang.
You might, if you like look in the right places, you might still be able to find the videos. I don't know, but
Playback machine.
yeah, there you
Oh.
go. There's so the whole thing is a creepy channel called Cave of Shadows. They posted videos of you can still, all the videos are there in the playlist.
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
Time to take those.
So they would post. So this group of people called the System. They called themselves the System. Would post these videos of sort of really weird, offbeat stuff, just like a collection of things, and almost like trying to be a broadcast show, kind of like a public access kind of thing, but it was all on YouTube. And so the main character, Elias Doyle, is this kid who's like kind of interested in creepy stuff, and so he stumbles upon this YouTube channel. He's invested in it, and he gets neck deep into everything, and starts to like the system, quote unquote, starts to get very interested and fixated on him, and then stuff ensues from there.
Ah.
Yeah, Blader says you can see baby Aidan in those. Yeah, in Elias Doyle. I looked way different than I do now. God, I really need to take those videos down.
I better watch these before you take them down.
I better watch them while they're still, we're still up. I will say, as much as I despise, I guess Act 1 is what I would call it, of Cave of Shadows. Act 2, the little bit that's there, I'm still fairly proud of. I think it's, well, I don't know, proud is a strong word, but I think it's way more watchable and interesting than Act 1, because it's way more like Marble Hornetsy as far as like it being more first person found footage kind of thing of like people running around and figuring stuff out, sort of the mystery and intrigue. And rather than, because the majority of the time that you watch Cave of Shadows is going to be put towards a lot of static and sort of like stuff like not really happening, of like just the weird offbeat videos,
Right. Okay.
which are not really that interesting in retrospect. Like I said, if I revisited this idea and tweaked it a bit, I think it would work well. I don't know if I will. If I do,
Some things are better
probably
left
won't.
alone, but
Yeah, that's how I feel. If I do, it's gonna be like completely recycled, and I won't even use the same name. It will be hardly recognizable, honestly.
Right. Okay. Well.
Well, I mean, I liked the idea of having. And I still don't think really anyone's done it this way, of like having an ARG, a cult ARG, but it's all like you have the two perspectives happening at the same time. You have the perspective of the cult itself, making videos and that creepy side of things, but you also have someone who is an in-game character investigating said videos and sort of analyzing it for you. So you almost have like a built-in analysis happening, but it also is providing character development and expanding the story.
Okay.
And that the Life Doyle
So-
stuff is where the story really was, more than anything.
So almost kind of like how Jay in Marble
Yes.
Hornets led us
Yeah,
to the
he was
right
the lens.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's something funny. My very first ARG that I worked on was a cult ARG also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was this summer. But I didn't actually come up with it. It was some kid in Germany, and as I participated a little bit more, I eventually became a co-creator of it. And
Gotcha.
it was definitely a lot less.
That's got to be an interesting dynamic.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a lot less video oriented and more. Okay, so
Yeah,
me
puzzle
picking
game.
it up
You can say
halfway
it.
through, was definitely a little bit of a challenge, because the other guy had an idea of how he wanted it, and then I had my own idea, and I think I really wanted to push on the story line of it,
Yeah.
while he only had a broader vision of how it should be, and so he couldn't really work on the small details, and that's what I did, and
Yeah.
I had to follow along with what he wanted, so it was a little tough.
Yeah.
But
I've heard that same dichotomy happen way too many times.
yeah, but on this'll bring us to our next topic. But on Reddit, r/ARG, there was a post asking, "What are some of the worst ARGs you have participated in?" And
Evaluation for you.
yeah. Two comments were on evaluation for you, but one of them was the one that I helped make. And
Wow.
so and honestly, it did abruptly end because doxing happened and all that stuff. But so it was called Ascension. Definitely, it's
Okay.
not a part of the Kanye Quest and all that stuff, but it was called Ascension, and because of the doxing, we just had to shut it down. But I had a big vision for that. I had a lot of the storyline written out, and we would give it out based on puzzles, because that's how we would recruit the members. The ARG itself was quote unquote a cult, and we would recruit members, but in the end, it was just okay, I think.
Yeah.
So
Well, dude, I certainly don't blame you for all that, because I cult ARGs are. It's a really, it's a very common thing to do, and it's also like one of the hardest to get right. I feel like.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like you're just setting yourself up for, and you didn't do this because you jumped in like halfway through, but like this Germany kid,
Right. You could tell.
set himself up for failure.
You could tell it's definitely someone who was new to the scene and he wanted to create something, and
Yeah,
there was already drama behind the scenes with people who he asked for help, and that really didn't work out. So I stepped in saying, "Hey, I'm going to try to help you to make sure that doesn't happen again." And
yeah,
from there it grew, and so I worked with what I had.
yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Now I can say I ran a cult, and I think that's definitely not going to be on my resume, but yeah. So
It's fascinating.
on
Were you around with the sort of the meat sleep era? I guess, like, was that in your paradigm at all?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So, are you familiar with meat sleep at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, then never mind. I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole if you want, but
Let's see how much time we're in.
We've already been recording like 2 hours. Maybe an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. I mean, we could go on. It's just,
honestly, meat sleep I think is interesting enough that you.
if you think it's big enough, we might just make it another episode. If
I think
anything.
I think that would be.
All right.
It would be worth you guys investigating and watching it, because it's fascinating how. I mean, I don't want to taint you guys against it, but man, I really despise that ARG, even if you want to call it an ARG.
Oh, okay.
Because it was around, it really got big right before Cave of Shadows did, so it was like, so I guess it was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it was very, I think it spawned a lot of the tropes that you see now within ARGs of, and you'll notice it just with the subject material and sort of the creepy potential murderer, maybe cannibal, maybe cult, maybe,
Wait, what's it
it's like
called?
all the things. So meat sleep, as in
Wait.
like pig meat.
Wait,
Meat sleep, yeah.
Meat sleep.
I might have actually heard of this. Like a long time ago.
Oh,
I think, all the videos are gone now, but
Yeah.
on the channel, but it's all archived. I'm pretty sure.
I think-
At least the majority
I think-
of it.
found an
Someone
archive.
made a video on it.
Oh yeah.
okay.
I don't remember who it was. Wait.
Okay,
There's
yeah,
plenty
I
of
found the archive
documentation.
channel.
Alright, and there's my cat.
Okay, so yeah, well, I guess we have another topic for another episode then.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, so earlier I mentioned the subreddit r/arg, and that is something. So the biggest thing I want to talk about is how there are literally new ARGs being put on there every day.
Yeah.
Almost every day, like pretty much every day. And so what do you guys think about that?
I mean,
I think
I'm
it's pretty
happy.
cool.
I'm happy that there's new ones coming out because it shows that there's a lot of people in the community trying to get into it, and even if it doesn't become successful or blow up, at least they're trying.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'm way more cynical, probably.
So,
Oh God. I'm trying to be
Well,
positive.
Yeah, no, I
not
appreciate
give-
it. I think you're anticipating, you're trying to offset and anticipating my cynicism, but
Yeah.
I agree that I think it's good. I think it's good that people are trying. I just think a lot of it is misguided, and there's a lot of just trailheads that don't really go anywhere. Like it's just like, okay, there's this thing. So it's 9 times out of 10 it's a code. You solve the code or the puzzle, whatever, and then you get a small sliver nugget of a story. Even if you could call it that, there's usually not characters involved. It's just like topics of like weird, creepy, whatever. And it all kind of blends in together to the point where I've just become so jaded to it because I feel like I've just been exposed to it for so long, and it just nothing has evolved. It's just the same. It's just the same
thing
shit
every
over
day.
and over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I would rather like, okay, let's post an ARG every week and make sure that they are like good ARGs. And I know there's not like you can't just tell people to do that, but there's some sort of rhetoric that's been set that I'm really mystified by it, and I want to figure out how we can change the rhetoric of the subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot of like yeah, even looking on here, it's a lot of people these days. It's a lot of people like, hey, I'm looking for advice, hey, let's start an ARG, looking for people, like,
yeah.
There's all these people that are like wanting to start something, and they just don't know where to start or what to do. And
I mean, yeah, just look at that multi-universe ARG.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw anything of that, but
yeah,
from what I can tell, it was kind of just a mess.
Well, most of it.
I really wanted to.
think,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think a lot of the issue of this is because it's kids. I think that's the main problem.
Definitely.
It's kids with no resources who just want to be creepy for like a day or two, and then they get bored and move on.
That's true. But this shouldn't discourage anyone who wants to try to. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just think I just wonder how much of it is misguided. Like I so wish I could just like sit down with a lot of these kids and be like, okay,
that's another thing. I think.
What do you want to do?
I think I would want this podcast to provide insight to. I guess it shouldn't tell someone how to do something, how to make an ARG or web series, but it should give
advice,
guidance, and lead you to the right path. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think it's like I forgot where I was going with that. I think that there's oh yeah, now I remember. The problem that I think too is that like even just the starting out with like a lot of people go, I want to make an ARG, what should I do? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a big problem with starting there even, because my argument would be, okay, like even like factoring into what I said before, like if you have an emotion or something that a story that you want to tell, then find the right medium for the story rather than the other way around. Like when you try to build a story around a medium, it just does not. I just don't think it. There's some times where I think it clicks, and people, I think people get lucky that it clicks. I don't think it's.
But more than often, you shouldn't work with what. You should work with what you have and not try to force your way through it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. People are interested in ARGs and want to make one, but it's like, okay, so. No. Find a story that you think is really cool, and then find the medium for the story. And if that happens to be an ARG, then awesome. Like if that's like the right medium for it, if that's the best version of that story and the best possible way that you can do it, great.
Which
I think a lot of people don't.
Which, Aidan, you have talked about in your podcast as well that you put up earlier this year. And so I'll put a link to that video as well, so you guys should check it out.
Yeah. That's my soapbox.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah.
I have a question actually.
Yeah, go for it.
What do you think the best platform for ARGs are? I don't think that's not really a good question.
I'm gonna step in right here. Oh yeah. I'm gonna step in. Aidan does talk about this in that podcast that he put up. But go ahead, Aidan.
It's not that great of a podcast, so that's why
It is.
I don't mind. I don't mind repeating myself because I know a lot of people miss it, and it's fine. Like it doesn't bother me. So I think my thing, even now, my thing is like I think Twitter is a really cool place to do stuff. I think YouTube is a cool place to do stuff. I think all the mediums, it's all tools for you to use, and it's just a matter of like finding the right tool. Like you can't build, if you're wanting to build a log cabin, then yeah, you're going to need a hammer and some nails. Or let's say you want to build like a wood table. Like, okay, you're going to need to use a hammer and some nails. But if you're wanting to build like a brick wall, using hammer and nails is not going to get you there. So my response would be like, yeah, just like find the right medium for it. But I do think also, at the same time though, like there's stuff where I'm, like me personally, I'm chasing what the next big thing is, as far as like I feel like TikTok is the next big thing right now, as far as like where like, that could be that. Well, it sounds bad, but hear me out. I think that could genuinely be a great place for ARGs to thrive.
I've actually been thinking. Yeah, possibly.
It's a possible ARG.
Like I've actually been thinking about that, like because I have TikTok. I'll be scrolling through, and I'll be like, man, it would be so cool if I could just like stumble onto like some kind of ARG type thing.
Yeah, dude.
And I just want it to happen.
Yeah. So my response would be make it happen. Like, just assume that no one else is gonna do it. What are you gonna do? Make it yourself. Make something that you would be interested in watching.
Yeah.
And be emotionally connected to. I think that's.
Like I've noticed on r/ARG, like there's been people like, I mean, it's not too often, but every once in a while you'll come across like a possible TikTok ARG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it ends up being pretty like not good.
Yeah,
most of the time.
And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that comes to mind that I think has been the closest to at least what I would be interested in on TikTok is the security guard TikTok account, where he's like it's this guy who like does videos of him walking around this like cemetery that he's a guard for, like a night shift guard, and there's like spooky shit that's happening, and it's really great. I wish there was more substance to it, but that's like a great start. That's like hell yes, like that this could thrive. And it went viral. Like sure enough, it blew up and people were really interested in it. I think they misstepped a few times though. It got a little, at least for my taste, it got a little cheesy. With some of the newer videos were a little too perfect. But if you can pull it off right, I think like TikTok is like could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the website is, the way the app is and the platform is set up is really yeah, well, because you just stumble upon shit. Like that's how you view everything. Whereas with like the constant issue with other platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, while they have like quote unquote home pages where you can see stuff, those are usually not that reliable. and you don't really care about that. You care about who you're following, what you have on your timeline,
Right.
your subscriptions or whatever. That's where your eyes are gonna be for the majority of the time. But with TikTok has way more emphasis on discovery, and that's that could be huge. So anyone listening out there, TikTok, man.
TikTok, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
I would love to see one.
All right. Do you guys have anything else?
not really. I'm getting tired.
All right.
We've been talking.
We have been talking
for
for
like 2 hours.
Yeah, too. Or well, even
live streaming for almost
Well,
3.
Yeah, almost 3.
All right.
Real talk for 2 hours.
So, let's start closing this off. So, thanks again, Aidan, for coming on to the podcast. It's been a real pleasure having you on.
Thank you for having me, dude. Really appreciate it. This has been really fun.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah. But before I officially close things, we have to go over that harder puzzle. Oh yeah, if you guys couldn't figure out the binary, the answer is just a link to our Discord.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Riley. Yeah, it's that. But for the harder puzzle, I've made a black and white image, which I am pulling up right now. Episodes. Here. And you guys can find it on the website. You can... I'll link it in the descriptions. So there's this black and white image. Try to figure out what it says. It says something.
Wow.
What?
I said wow.
Yeah, wow. It says
Wow.
something. Yeah, it's a little teaser for something in the future, but anyways, enough of that. Good luck. If you guys figure it out, it might look like nothing, but yeah. Alright, so there's that. So Aidan, again, thanks. And would you like to plug as much as you want here?
Yeah, I mean, keep an eye on TSV stuff. I'm gonna be definitely keep an eye on my YouTube channel and my personal Twitter. I'm gonna be using both of those more often, at least try to. I'm trying to think of anything else. Patreon.
Yeah, be sure to support
anything-
him, I think. That'd be really...
Yeah, any support is really super helpful. Like, ridiculously helpful. Like, I've been able to... It's contributed to me getting new equipment and stuff that's really going to push like the web series into the next level, as well as all of my other filmmaking stuff, and even stuff that's even not filmmaking. It's all been super helpful.
Wow.
So, and I'm again just trying to be more active everywhere. I've kind of been an internet hermit, and I'm trying to get away from that. I'm trying to actually be involved and talk to people.
active.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, I think that's a really great part in communities like this. We're so welcome to talk and chat about not even just ARGs, puzzles, stories. Like,
Whatever.
we were able... Yeah, we could talk about anything, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, alright, Twitter, you mentioned everything, Aidan.
Yeah. Thanks, so. Thank you again for having me.
Of course.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have him on.
And you can find... Actually, yeah, Brady, where can they find you?
YouTube.com/byclayman2. Instagram.com/byclayman. And I think that's it, because I haven't gotten my Twitch name back yet.
Alright. And Riley?
Per usual, check the description because my name's awfully spelled. But I'm on Instagram.
Okay. And you can find me on YouTube at Hans Anonymous, or basically anywhere else, except for Instagram and Twitter, which is Hans_Fusarianto, which will also be in the description. And last not but least, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or join us on Discord. And please, if you like what we do, this podcast, the live stream, make sure you support us on Patreon because it definitely helps. We recently got the funding to actually put out all the episodes that we are going to make for this month, and so that's really helpful. And then if for some reason whatever platform you're listening to us right now somehow fails, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and Twitch. So that is it. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks again to Aidan for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Have a good week, and don't forget, you're breathtaking.
You forgot to say that last week, too.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Pretty sure.
no,
You
I
didn't?
think I said it.
Oh, yeah.
What did I say at the end of Hi Mary Mary?
You said it for Hi, Mary Mary.
Oh, well,